Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's ENDietS Talks. I am very happy to have a new guest here, and I would like to ask her to introduce herself so you can tell us what your name is, what your background is, what you studied, and anything else that you find important.
Hello, I'm Dimitra Kavarino. I'm from Greece, and I recently graduated from Karakopi University. I am a dietitian. Um, I think that Karakopi University has given me very strong foundations when it comes to the science of nutrition and dietetics. And I graduated actually in October, so it's been a few months, and I'm very happy that I got to start my first job as a nutritionist very, very soon, actually. I graduated in October, and my first job started in December. So it was very quick for me. And I am also currently studying for my master's degree. It's in a different university. It's the University of Athens, Kapodistriako University. And I am studying on cardiometabolic medicine. It's the title because I loved metabolism and how it works, and also endocrinology. So I wanted to see the pathology behind all the cardiometabolic issues that may happen. So when I understand the pathology, I can also understand deeper in a deeper level how I will use this information as a dietitian in order to treat the patients accordingly.
What your responsibilities are in this role, and maybe like how your everyday looks like.
Okay, so currently I'm working in a dietetics office. It's called Nutrition for Life, the office. Uh, I'm a I'm an assistant to a clinical dietitian. Her name is Natasha Georgiou. I haven't asked her if I should go say her name, but don't think she'll have a problem with that. So as an assistant, I have multiple roles. So one small part in my job is social media. And I think it's a very important role because it's a way to promote your work as a dietitian and as a health coach whatsoever. So we do recipes, healthy recipes, easy in order for people to also follow them, but mostly I have to do research, of course, on scientific data, PubMed, etc., dietetics news, and etc., in order to provide people information in very simple language in order for it to be understandable for someone who doesn't have our background as dietitians. It is a very I think it's a hard job that not many people understand it because they're like, okay, you're posting a small, I don't know, Canva on social media. So it must be easy. An infographic on social media, it's not that hard. You can do it in 10 minutes. It's actually very hard because it has to be simple enough for people to understand it. But you have so much knowledge, and maybe you're like, okay, people know that. They don't. And you have to put it in simple words. It also has to not be boring, which is also, it may be interesting to a dietitian, but it doesn't mean that it's interesting to someone who doesn't study nutrition on a daily basis, and they just want to know what they have to do for their health to be better. And it also has to be correct information, scientific based information, because the information that you find on the internet nowadays is so much information, and not much of it is actually accurate. So I have to search very, very well in order for us to write something on our social media. because I have to be sure that it's correct and it's guidelines and it's proven through science. Now, apart from social media, I also help my boss with the programs themselves, dietetics programs. She's giving me the history, of every patient, their likes, their dislikes when it comes to food. Maybe if they take some drugs that I have to consider, because many drugs interact positive or negative with the food that we eat. So I'm also doing the research with that, because one thing that I think it's missing, at least in Greece, from our dietetics program, is that we don't know exactly every drug, how it's going to affect the nutrition, what the person has to eat. So I have to search every drug and how it's going to affect, and how some foods are going to negatively affect this drug. I also sometimes I communicate in the first part of the interview as a dietitian with the patients. I'm also writing articles, not only for the dietetics office that I work for, but I also do this voluntarily for two websites that have to do with health matters. So because it's volunteer, I'm basically doing it with my own theme. When I want to write about something, I just write it. Nobody asks me what to write about. And I'm not doing it, I don't have to do this every week, every day, or every week. They ask me to write about 1 or 2 times per month. And I also have my own social media page. I maintain it because I like to have the communication with the world. I want to see what, you know, uh, the audience wants to hear from us dietitians, because I know we can be very strict or boring or maybe uninteresting, I don't know. So I want to have the communication, and I really like, when I learn something in my master's degree, I really want to simplify it, write an article about it, so that people can all get that knowledge in a more simple way.
Thank you. Could you tell us how your recruitment process looked like? So how you applied for this job and the interview process?
Okay, so I basically really wanted to work at the dietitian's office, because I wanted to see different. I didn't want to, for example, specifically work with athletes or specifically work with diabetes, etc. I wanted to see a variety of people when it comes to diets, and I wanted to also have communication with people. I also knew that social media is something that I already knew because I had my own page and that I was familiar with, and I liked it. So I knew my stronger aspects, and I started sending my CVs. Unfortunately, in Greece, there are not a lot open positions for dietitians, especially if they just got their degree. And that was a bit hard. I know that I told you, that I found a job in December, although I graduated in October, but I was just lucky, I think. I started sending my CV on dietetics office that I liked, even though they hadn't had, an open request for a job opening. I was like, this is my CV. I like what you're doing. Can I please join your team? And this is how it happened for me, actually. She did not have a job opening. I sent her my CV with a very strong, letter of support of my job and how I can help her with her job and her office to work better and make her life easier, in other words. And she asked to see me. For our first interview was actually online. Um, and she asked me a lot of questions actually about my master's, what I'm doing in my master's right now, why I chose this master's, what I learned from my bachelor degree, what I liked most, what I liked less, what difficulty I had to face. And she also asked me about social media, what I can help her with that. And on the second interview, she asked me to go to her office so we can have, a face-to-face communication. And she also asked me she gave me an actual patient's history, and I had to do the entire, statistics program, everything for them in front of her in like 30 minutes, which was kind of stressful. But, you have to have confidence. You have to be like, okay, I've got this. I've got this. I've graduated. I've got my degree. I've got the knowledge. So I have to show her what I deserve. We also did the third, I think, interview. It was kind of strict, but she also gave me a body measurement analysis from BIA. And I had to explain it to her as if she was a client. So I had to give it to her in simple words, what it means to have that much percentage of fat, for example, or what does visceral fat mean, and what it means for the metabolism, for example, to have a high visceral fat. And it was actually very nice because I had the opportunity to learn all those things in my practice, because I also got in my traineeship, I also got to work at a different dietetics office, and I was lucky enough to have already learned those things.
What would you say were the most important skills that maybe stood out to her so that she hired you?
So I think if you want to work with people as a dietitian, you don't want to be a researcher, for example. If you want to actually work with people, you have to have strong communication skills. And of course, we're all going to have our bad days and our days that we're not feeling our best. But it's very important to make the other person feel like they can do what they want to do, they can achieve their goals, and give them positive energy, because they're coming to us as nutritionists to learn, of course, and to achieve their goals, but to also take some positive energy, because it can be actually very toxic to just hear, you're doing this wrong, and you have very high fat percentage, so you're going to die. They all want to, everybody, I think, wants to hear some good news. They want to be encouraged. And I think that if you don't love what you do, if you don't love the science of nutrition, if you don't love communication with people, it's going to be visible, it's going to be noticeable, and it's going to be a little difficult for you to find the job in that aspect of nutrition, of course. So I think that strong communication skills is important, and I try to seem confident in my knowledge and in myself when it comes to nutrition.
What do you love most about your job?
I really like this question. So I've wanted to be a dietitian since I was 14, because I knew that a really creative actually way to help people with their health, with their body image, with their psychology. Um, it's really an holistic kind of health and communication. I think that you can, through your nutrition, you can help people with their mental health, with their physical health, and you can help them be happier and to view their body in a better way. And it's also, of course, nutrition because it interacts with metabolism. It also plays an important role when it comes to your actual metabolic health, which is also important. I would love for me to someday work at a clinic, for example, in order to view some a little bit more serious patients and to help them through, because in my trainship, I had the opportunity to work at a hospital that had cancer patients, and I saw that they needed whatever help they could get. They desperately wanted it. So I actually felt like, even though what I was sharing with them when it came to nutrition was very simple for me, they were very grateful, and they were um, so happy that they could follow some simple instructions in order to improve their health. And I think that's something that we're very lucky to experience as scientists, to have this communication with people and to actually get to help them.
Can you tell us who is in your team at work? Is it just you and your boss, or is there someone else helping you, or do you have any help?
No, it's actually just me and my boss. I think she also communicates with another girl about social media on the more logistic side, about what time is it better to post, which are things that I don't really know. I think there are seminars about this, and I think it's very interesting actually, because I only have the knowledge about nutrition. I don't know how social media works. I don't know the algorithm. And I think that maybe someday I should get to know it better.
It's definitely something everyone has to take a course in.
Yeah, I agree.
So you said you were looking for a job for approximately 3 months. What was the most difficult part during that time?
I think the most difficult part is for you, for someone, for me, to not get disappointed, because it's really easy to get disappointed and frustrated when you can't find a job, especially if you really want to work. Uh, because, I could have easily said, okay, I'm doing my master's right now. I don't have to work. I can just focus on that. Um, I just really, really wanted to work. I remember studying in my fourth year of my bachelor degree, and I was like, okay, I have to pass my last exam because I really need to work right now. I was in a place that I really needed to work and to give people whatever I have learned in my bachelor. So for me, this was the most difficult part, rejection. And even though I myself knew how much I could give, because I really had um, I had the passion to give about nutrition. Um, and I was really happy to help, but phones were not ringing. And I was very disappointed because I thought, I'm young. I have good communication skills. I have the knowledge. I have the degree. Why? What am I doing wrong? But you have to have patience. And for me, it was still 3 months. For someone else, it would be six. For someone else, it will be 1 month, and for someone else, it will be a year. But you have to be patient, and something great will go.
Yeah, that's a very good advice actually. So maybe to close off this interview, what advice would you give to someone who is just graduating and starting to look into jobs?
first of all, I would say that if you did not have a trainship program in your school, university, or country, you should try to, I don't know, through Erasmus Plus, to do a trainship in order to understand what it is that you like. Because I was lucky enough to, before I even graduated, I had experienced dietetics practice in a dietitian's office, in a hotel, actually, and in a hospital. And through that experience, I knew what I liked the most. If you have no clue what you like the most, I think that you should experience all aspects of nutrition, and then make the decision about what you want in your life. Because there are many sub aspects in nutrition that we are able to work in. Maybe if you're not good with communication with people, if you don't like it, if it tires you, you can work, for example, as a scientific assistant in research, for example. And I know that there are many programs in many universities that give you the opportunity to do that. Or you can write articles. I don't know if that pays in other countries. In my country, it doesn't. But you can also search that. We are lucky enough to have the opportunity to work either with clinical cases or with athletes. There are many different aspects in our job, so I think that it will be easy for everyone to find their way. And maybe if, I don't know, something doesn't fit right to you, you can try to do a master's degree that is a bit different from dietetics or nutrition, that has to do, for example, with the pharmaceutical aspect, so that you can even work with supplements, for example.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of options. We just need to
Yeah.
find which one it is.
So I think, yeah, just on the positive side, and do not reject the jobs because you feel like you're not going to be good at it. I think we are young and we should try different things first and then reject them.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And we hope to see you some other time again.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.